It doesn't look like, is your mic on?
Is it on now? Okay. Sorry, I'm not sure if everybody heard me, but we'll call this meeting to order, the December 16th Charter Commission meeting. Meeting is called to order, and let's do a roll call. Christina, can you help us with that?
Yep. Kathy Child. Julian Dahlquist.
Here.
Athena Graysick.
Here.
Russell Hansen. Thomas Krabanoff.
Here.
Joel Reeder.
Here.
Dave Setterquist. Jim Steen.
Here.
Eldon Wallman. Mark Voxland. Mark Voxland.
He's there. Kathy Child is on as well.
What? You're not hearing me?
Oh, I can hear you
Is
now,
that Mark? Okay.
Does that complete our roll? Okay, thank you. Are there any reports from the officers, commissions, or committees? If not, any public comment? Okay, well, we will just jump right into unfinished business. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. We need to do the approval of minutes of the September 23rd meeting. Looking for a motion, if everybody's had a chance to go over them.
I move.
Moved by Russell. Do I hear a second?
Second, Mark.
Second by Mark. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the approval of minutes? Please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, minutes are approved.
Point of order.
Now we'll jump into the unfinished business. Elected officials serving on public utility commissions. If everybody's had a chance to look at Dan's memorandum of his conversation with the League of Minnesota Cities, any discussion or comment on that from anyone? See none, we'll all jump in here then. From my reading of this and from what the League of Minnesota Cities has pretty much stated here is pretty much what I thought they would say. It kind of depends on what our charter says, and our charter says nothing about it. It does, in some cities, they say they have the legal authority, they have in their charter that say they cannot have any council people that, on this commission, on the Public Service Commission. Some say allow one, some allow two. Ours says nothing. So I think, in my opinion, our charter needs to, you know, since there is such a large transfer of funds between the two, and it's a big generator for the income for the city of Moorhead, I think we need to clarify the charter and state what we think should happen there. And this is a discussion for us. Do we allow one? Do we allow two? Do we allow none? And this could be a pretty in-depth discussion, but my opinion is it has worked well in the past, just having a city council person as a liaison and having council people pick the commissions, and the commission can changes with the council. So I mean, it is a good thing. It keeps it non-political. That's my opinion. I'd like to hear the rest of yours and where we should go from this point.
I'm not sure. Let's see, how can I just put this? Since the charter started out being silent on it, I'm not sure it needs to be changed. I guess I'd be interested to hear from maybe the mayor or the council some council members on why they have felt in the last few years to start putting people on the charter or on Public Service Commission. I'm not sure that I see a real problem with having a few members. I would have a problem with having all 5, but just a few wouldn't. I don't see a problem with that.
Okay. Anyone else? Dave? Dave, I think you're muted.
I would like to agree with Mark Boxland. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me now?
Thank you.
I can hear you now, Dave. Let's start with
I agree
Dave.
that,
Dave, go
are
ahead.
we raising our hand?
I was just going to ask the question. I don't know either what all the background is for this issue, but I was just wondering if the change in leadership at the Moorhead Public Service might give us pause to make any changes at this point and see if that has any bearing on issues that may have arisen in the past.
Okay. Athena?
I agree with Mark that we have had a couple council people on the commission, and it hasn't been detrimental to the work of the commission, and it has been beneficial for the city to have a liaison and input and to be kept up to date with what's happening on that commission for the reason that you stated, which is that it's a very important commission and that the city's input and knowledge about how it's working seems very crucial. Whether we need to put that as a new, as a guideline in the city charter isn't clear at this point. If we're able to accept that it has been working pretty well so far.
Okay, I'm sorry, Athena. I don't know if it's your mic or what. It's really hard to understand you. But I don't know. Is anybody else having trouble hearing her?
Yeah,
Yeah, I have trouble hearing her.
garbled.
Is this the Charter Commission meeting? Is this the Charter Commission meeting?
Yes, it is.
Okay. This is Eldon Woolman, trying to listen.
Okay. Hi, Eldon. Welcome. Glad you could be here.
I put my remarks in the chat.
Okay.
Jim, this is Joel.
Joel, go ahead.
So I do agree with you, Jim, that there should be some separation. The liaison is great, so to have that contact with the council, but as to your point of keeping it non-political, there's got to be some separation with the two bodies, and it's worked for this many years to this point. Is there a problem, reading the attachment that we got, page 14, incompatible offices? I don't know, there seems to be a couple issues in those bullet points on incompatible offices. And maybe it isn't, but to me, it's worth looking at. So it's the section right above codes of conduct on page 14. So it's possible that this position could be incompatible being a city council member.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have that in front of me right now. I'm sorry, but yeah, I remember reading that about the incompatible offices, and that was why I wanted to bring in Randy Stephenson or any other attorney that would be willing to do it for non grata, I guess, to explain what non grata mean, or what incompatible offices mean, and some of the other issues.
One of the bullet points in incompatible offices is hires or appoints the other, makes contracts with the other, approves official fidelity or bond of the other. So there's a lot of things that both of these groups do. And when this was set up, and it's pretty well written that the public service or the public utility should be run separately from the city as a business. So that's where the lines get blurred in my eyes.
Thank you. I totally agree with you, Joel, on that one. I'd like to hear some more opinions. Anybody else?
Good morning, everybody. Yes, I totally agree with Mark on the longtime silence of the, not having anybody on the council. I pointed to that, but so for them to do that, I think it should have came to the Charter Commission before they appointed somebody. Before they appointed somebody, they should have got a Charter Commission opinion. I mean, this should have been something we should have discussed before it happened. Being the charter does have so much to do with public service that the Charter Commission should have it input before it happened. And to be totally bypassed, I guess what's the point of having a charter if you just bypass things around it?
Good point, Tom. Anyone else?
I'll bear my ignorance. Was someone already appointed, or a council member already appointed to the commission?
When was that, February or March? Heidi Duran was appointed as she was a sitting council person, was appointed to the Public Service Commission, and there's where the incompatible offices come into play.
If I've heard a couple of times that this has worked all the way it is currently, why is this an issue if it's been working? Can anyone give any sort of thumbnail reason?
Yeah, I have no idea why the council decided to appoint one of their own, I guess. So I can't see my chat. I don't know if Christine or somebody else can turn the chat on. I don't know if anybody's chatting or not. I don't have a mouse to turn that on, but okay. Okay, now I see it. Okay, thank you. So this all being said, I mean, I'm getting the opinion that we need to talk about this. This needs to be a good discussion and what we want to do with it. So I do think we need to hear from a person, I'm going to say Randy Stephenson because he's already looked into it. And we need to hear from one of the council people or the mayor. We need to hear both sides, and then we need to figure out where we need to go from there and push it towards the council. I think my opinion is the charter needs to say something about this, whether it's allowed or not allowed, or one person, two person, or whatever we want to do. And should that person, if it is a council person, be compensated for it, since the other commissioners are compensated. So I I know my time on this commission is limited, along with Tom, and I don't know who else is going off at the end of January. I mean, we do have one other meeting scheduled in January to elect the new offices going forward, but I think this is one item that the charter really needs to look at and make a decision on. So, anybody else share that opinion?
If I could, Mark Voxland, I agree. I think we should take a look at it. I think maybe the first thing we should do is, so that everybody has that J, Incompatible Offices, in front of them, I would suggest, rather than getting a link for the whole thing, to just get that piece for our next council meeting. I would suggest we ask the mayor to either come to the meeting or to have one of the council members talk about their thought process on why they felt putting a council member on would be a good idea. That might be a way that we can start our discussion with everybody on the Charter Commission having a good idea what the issue is, both sides. I think that's probably the both sides. See what the council has, and then what this Incompatible Offices and any other particular things. Getting, like I said, getting a 35-page document, and then I read through it obviously, but I wasn't sure exactly what we were looking for in particular. I think those pieces need to come together, and then we can start a decent discussion on this.
Okay. Would you like to make that a motion to see for our next meeting to have, like you said, either the mayor or council person present, and maybe Randy Stephenson or somebody to explain the Incompatible Offices part, and so we all understand?
I don't think we need to have an attorney explain it to us. I think reading it might be the best thing to do, but I would make a motion to at least have the pieces that we need to have out of this tome that we got, because there might be another one in there that's more direct, also direct to our discussion. Have that in front of us, and then to ask the mayor to either come before us and explain why they started to choose council members, or to have him appoint a council member to come and talk with us. I'd make that as a motion.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor to have Mayor Judd or a council person come before us on our next meeting and explain their position on appointing a council person to the Public Service Commission. Do I hear a second?
Second.
And
I think that's a great idea. That would give us some more of a base for our discussion, and more of a base to give us something to make a decision on.
okay, we have a first and a second discussion.
Well, I'd like to get an opinion. This is the second meeting I've been with the Charter Commission where there's been no legal counsel. You know, usually Shockley or somebody from his office is here. And I would like to get an opinion if, you know, according to our charter, if they overstep the charter by not consulting with the charter to do the appointment, if it even should have happened in the first place, is what I'm wondering.
Any other discussion?
So,
Athena?
Go ahead, Athena.
so we have received information which we requested from the city manager, Dan Molly, and that information shows us that it's not incompatible to have city council representatives on commissions of this sort. And our charter actually says that a city council member may not be appointed to a paid municipal office. I'm not clear that the commission is an office. And so we did ask for input from Dan Molly. We did not ask for legal input. So getting a legal opinion at this point on, is the opinion going to be about the charter interpretation of that section, incompatible offices, or is it going to be about the legal city's suggestion that there is no incompatibility with city council members being on such commissions? What is the targeted point of the legal opinion is my question.
Okay.
Mark?
To me, I don't think it is clear that we know the true definition of compatible or incompatible with this situation. That's why the legal opinion is important. And to Tom's point, I would agree. Up until these last two meetings, we've had an attorney present at each meeting, and now we haven't because of conflict of interest, I believe. So it is unfair to this commission not to have that legal opinion available when we have these discussions.
And I guess I'm on the same opinion as Tom and Joel on this. I think Mark's motion is a good motion. I think we need to, but I also think we need to have an attorney here too at the same time. This is a legal document. The charter is a legal document. We haven't had a legal representation in the last few meetings. As the motion stands, I'll probably vote no, just because I want an attorney here also, whether it be Randy Stephenson or somebody else to explain the legal definition of incompatible offices and if this is truly incompatible office. So that's my opinion. Although I like the motion, I would like to have it amended to have a legal representation here too.
Can you please have Christina read the motion back so we can hear it again?
The current motion is to have information on incompatible office sent to members and have mayor or council member attend next meeting to give historical position.
Any more discussion?
Thank you.
Mark Voxland, I would say I would be in favor of passing this motion as it is. I would think a second motion could be made to hire an attorney to go out for a request for qualifications or whatever. But we should also probably be cognizant of the city budget and find out from them as far as costs or what we have for budgeting for having somebody come on board.
Okay. Well, I think the attorney I've talked to would be willing to do it with no cost, but.
And I respect Mark Fox, and I respect Randy a lot. Just to have somebody come in for position that's gratis, volunteer, I guess I'd rather see a choice.
Can you repeat that, Mark?
I respect Randy a lot, but I think I'd rather have a request for qualifications or before we and see what we have for choices. And then I think we also need to check with the city as far as budgeting, because it's good to get an attorney to come in and do something gratis. That's great, but we may need an attorney more than just for this one question.
Yeah, I'm going to put Dan Molly on the spot here.
If I may interrupt, we did have a qualifications for attorneys. There was, I believe, 2 recommendations from the last meeting from the League of Cities, and I think the closest one was Detroit Lakes, if I recall.
Yep.
And am I not correct there?
Yes, you are. And we decided not to act on either one of those 2 at that time. So I'm going to put, before we put this motion to a vote, I'm going to ask Dan Molly, is there a reason we don't, I mean, I know on this issue, John Shockley said he needed to step aside because of conflict of interest. Is it, who the city attorney is now, would they have a conflict of interest? Could they be sitting in on our meeting? Who's representing us? I mean, the Charter Commission does need an attorney to represent us. So where do we stand there?
Certainly. Good morning, everybody. So where we stand is without representation from Onstead Twitchell. So what the Charter Commission would be looking for is a conflict attorney around this issue as defined by how the Charter Commission looks at it. It does have representation through Onstead Twitchell, just not on this issue that City Attorney Shockley declared the conflict on.
So how do we resolve this?
Well, the Charter Commission has the choice of searching, entering into a contract, identifying a conflict attorney.
And how do we do that without a budget?
So the Charter Commission does have a budget of $2,500.
Oh, it does?
Yes.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, and I think that, I should say, that's state statute. So by law, we're required
Okay.
to.
Well, yeah,
make-
I was aware of that statute, but that we had to be allowed that kind of type of money, but, okay. I thought it was $1,500, actually. But-
I may be, okay, that may be 15 or 20, yeah, it could be, I'll check on that. But there are funds available.
okay. Any other
Dave
discussion?
Cedar- This is Dave Cedarquist. Why is Onstead not available for us on this issue?
You know, so the conflict's identified in previous documents, but it relates to a conflict in regard to providing legal representation to the Charter Commission and to the City Council, and the potential conflict of representing both.
Which, to me, that goes back to the incompatible offices in a way, but that's why for us to proceed forward without any legal guidelines, I hesitate on that. Any other opinions?
Well, like I said, I'm the longest serving member here. I've been here 10 years, and these are the first 2 meetings that we have not had representation. And if there's no gray area or anything here, I mean, why isn't Shockley here representing the Charter Commission or giving us guidance like he has in the past? So that's my question is, what is the conflict here? I'd like that identified a little bit more. That should be clarified too. If there is a conflict, why don't we have representation or a legal opinion on what the charter should or should not have done regarding this?
Okay. And I offered to get a lawyer here and to explain that, and it seems to get turned down whenever I mention it. But again, I agree with that motion, other than the fact that without a legal representation of some kind here that can explain conflict of interest issues and things like that, I really would like that amended to that motion, but I'm going to vote no on it just for that reason. But if there's no other discussion, we will send this to a vote, and I think the best way to do that virtually is just to go down the list I've got here, and I'll just read down the list and listen for an A or nay. Dan, do you have something to say first, or Christina?
Jim, can I can do a roll call vote, but can I just, who seconded the motion?
I think it was Russell. Was it you, Russell? Mr. Hanson, can you hear me?
Yes, it was me.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to have information on incompatible office sent to members and have a mayor or council member attend the next meeting to give historical position.
And we'll start with the roll call.
Julian Dahlquist,
Yes?
Athena Graysick,
Yes,
Russell Hanson,
Yes?
Thomas Krabenoft,
No.
Joel Reeder,
No.
Dave, did Dave Sederquist come in?
Yes, and the answer is yes.
Yes, okay. Jim Steen,
No.
Eldon Wallman,
Yes.
Mark Voxland.
Yes.
I don't know if you have me, Kathy Child. Yes.
Kathy, thank you.
Yep.
So we have 7 yes, 3 no.
Okay, so motion passed. Next meeting, we will have it on the agenda to ask either the mayor or council person to come and explain their position on this. So yes, that motion passed. Thank you. So this,
Here, could I make another motion?
go ahead, Mark.
I'd like to have a request for qualifications for a conflict attorney sent out. So at our next meeting, we could review and possibly hire someone.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor to send out a conflict, or a, how did you state that again, Mark? A request for qualifications for an attorney to represent us on this issue. Do I hear a second?
Second
I'll
that.
second that.
Second by Kathy Chai.
That was Athena Graysick.
Whatever.
Okay. Discussion.
Would that attorney be present at our next meeting? Or,
I would assume that we would have to approve it before they could be hired. So we're asking attorneys to give us their qualifications. We would get them. We could decide at the next meeting if we want to hire one and who we'd hire if we do. And then we would have representation after that point.
Well, I know that Counselor Stephenson has already put, some time and effort into this. And excuse me if I'm wrong, but, isn't can't a lawyer be interdisciplinarian? Like a plumber, for instance, like a plumber, can work on showers and sinks and not just sinks. So if you are a lawyer, I mean, you can branch into any legal section. And if he's already put time and effort into this and has a good understanding of our charter, I would like to just bring Randy in.
Yes, I'm wondering too, Dave Cedarquist, why we don't bring Randy Stephenson in.
I didn't quite hear your full sentence there, Dave. Could you repeat that?
I too am wondering why we are not just going to have Randy Stephenson come in and advise us.
No,
Mr.
I
Chair?
agree. I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't want to, I mean, the time and effort he's put into it, but we could make sure he gets sent the requests for qualifications also, and hopefully he'll be one of them on our list.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
if I could ask the city attorney or the city manager, can we just hire somebody without going through any kind of a formal process?
You know, I will have to look that, I should check on that, Mark. I'm sorry, I can't answer with clarity. You know, I know we did reach out to Charles Ramstead in Detroit Lakes to see if he could serve. I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. I don't know the answer.
Okay. I guess
I believe I thought I did read that we did have up to a certain amount of money or a budget that we could use to retain a lawyer if we run into a circumstance like this, and then anything beyond that needed to get outside approval.
Yes, so, I mean, I guess that, as Dan and I discussed earlier, I can't remember if it's $1,500 or $2,500. We could
Mr.
look into
Chair,
that.
I guess,
Go ahead.
just thinking back, normally anything that the city does, you can't just go out and hire somebody. You have to go through some kind of a process. And I guess I was just trying to cover that situation.
I can,
Okay, Dan can speak to that.
yes. So related to that, if we're talking purchasing policy, the anticipated amount of this attorney wouldn't reach that threshold by which, say, 3 bids would be required. That's related to the city's purchasing policy. I mean, this I think would be considered a professional service,
Okay,
which is different than a product. So, I believe the Charter Commission could enter into a contract with.
okay. Okay, Mark?
I would like to have, may I speak?
Go ahead.
I would like to have the ability to review the qualifications of at least 3 attorneys so that we can decide on the person which would be best suited to represent us.
Well, basically, we're looking for somebody to guide us through, to me, the way I look at it, some of these issues. And I know the League of Minnesota Cities handbook is not law, it's not statute, but it refers to statutes on this item as far as incompatible offices and things like that. That's why having an attorney, I mean, is just, in my opinion, is just going to kind of decipher that for us of what that is. So that's why I really think we need to have an attorney sitting here next to us while we're discussing this.
Small letter E.
I completely agree with you. I agree with you, but I would like to have a choice about who that attorney is based on their qualifications.
And there is a motion on the table for
Right.
request for
I'm
qualifications.
speaking in favor of the motion.
Yep, so, and we're in the discussion stage now, and any more discussion on that? Okay, so there is, Kathy, were you going to say something?
I don't want you to hear my dog barking.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So, without any further discussion, we'll take another roll call vote on this to send out a request for qualifications for an attorney and bring that back to us at our next meeting. Roll call.
Mr. Chair, just point of order or procedure. Just can we get the motion read one more time before we get into the roll call, please?
I didn't catch that, Julian.
Can you please read the motion?
So the motion is to send out, would you send out request for 3 qualifications for legal representations to be brought to the January meeting?
All in favor, we'll go with the roll call vote.
Wait, can you please read that again? Because
Yep.
I thought it was please, thank you.
The motion is to send out a request for 3 qualifications for legal representation to be brought to the January meeting.
I don't think it was for
Actually,
3. I think it was for a request
Yeah,
for
that's not correct.
request for qualifications.
So just request for qualifications. So motion to send out request for qualifications for legal representations to be brought to the January meeting.
Is that, I just want to make sure, is that correct, Mark?
That is correct.
I have to add on to this because if you're barred in Minnesota, aren't you already qualified? So I don't understand the purpose of this. It's, to me, it's like getting back to the plumber thing. If the plumber has a license, he can work in your house. So I don't understand the need for this. And if we are going to hire outside of somebody, we should add on to the proposal that we have an extension to our budget because it'll take more than $1,500 for a new lawyer to read and interpret our charter commission. So I would vote no to what's on the table now, but I would vote yes to the motion if a extended budget was to be added on, so we don't need to discuss adding additional funds onto a qualified lawyer if and when we find one next month, per se.
Okay, do we need to have a description of
The question
the
has
term
already been
request for
called.
qualifications?
The motion has already been called, and we're taking a vote on that motion right now, so we can't change that motion at this time.
Okay. True. But, okay. Well, let's move on with that vote then.
Seconded?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Okay, and I've got the first by Mark Voxland, and who was the second?
Is either,
Russ Hansen. Oh, no, actually, I seconded that one, sorry.
Was it Athena?
Yes, yeah,
Perfect.
I seconded that one.
Thank you. So Kathy Chile,
you're muted, Kathy.
Yes.
Julian Dahlquist,
Yes.
Athena Graysick,
Yes,
Russell Hansen, Thomas Krabenoft,
Yes.
Joel Reeder,
Yes.
Dave Sederquist,
Yes.
Jim Steen,
Yes.
Eldon Wallman,
Yes.
Mark Voxland.
Yes.
Okay. It was all yeses?
Yes.
Okay, motion is passed. We will send out, Dan or Christina, will you take care of that, to send out the request for qualifications? And hopefully we can get them back by our next meeting. The last, number 3 item on our, under new business would be to approve the 2019 annual report. You should all have that in your packet. I guess we just need approval on that. So I'll look for a motion to approve that.
I move that we approve the annual report as written.
Okay. First by Athena. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, second by, was that Dave or Mark?
Mark.
Mark, okay, thank you, Mark. Any discussion on that item? Hearing none. Again, with being virtual, it's best to go through a roll call vote.
Kathy Chile,
Yes.
Julian Dahlquist,
Yes.
Athena Graysick,
Yes,
Russell Hansen,
Yes.
Thomas Krabenoft,
Yes.
Joel Reeder,
Yes.
Dave Sederquist,
Yes.
Jim Steen,
Yes.
Eldon Woolman,
Yes.
Mark Voxland.
Yes.
Okay. With that, our next meeting is January 20th at 8 a.m., and hopefully we have everything in order for that one. I want to ask Dan this question. I know as all of you know, the struggle going through these virtual meetings. Not everybody has a real high bandwidth if they're from home or from office, and it is a struggle. I know there was discussion on opening up the YUM comps to set up as we could safely meet with this COVID crisis. How's the progress on that going, Dan?
The progress is going very well, and we expect, so the YEMCOM Center is closed at the moment due to the governor's order. When that opens, we expect we should be able to meet there, whereby we could socially distance, and if people prefer to meet virtually, they could participate that way as well.
Okay. Now, the museum is closed. Wouldn't that qualify as a city office? I mean, if say this, the ban was still in effect, would that qualify as a city office? And just, even if the museum is closed, could we still have a meeting there?
Well, we could look at that. If you're asking.
I just think this has, in my mind, has been such a struggle not to be able to meet face to face. And I know there's safety concerns and some people are more concerned than others, but, and if we can have a joint virtual meeting that people wanted to attend, I think that would be great. So hopefully we can work that out. So let's leave that as a possibility to have our next meeting over there at the UMComst. If that works out, as it can be called a city office if,
Certainly.
if the ban is still in effect.
Yep, I hear you. We'll look into that and follow up with the intent of offering a possibility of meeting in person for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there some reason why the city and these meetings cannot be done over Zoom, which is a more stable platform?
Yep.
I still have, I don't know if it's the office here, I still have a hard time understanding you, Athena. I'm sorry.
Is there any reason why the city can't use Zoom, which is a more stable platform for these virtual meetings?
Okay. Dan, did you get that?
So yes, we've been using WebEx. Our Human Resources Office for some interviews and things has the capacity to use Zoom. So if directed, we could figure, if the Charter Commission would like us to make those arrangements, we could look into that as well, if you prefer. We're happy to make any accommodation possible.
Okay, thank you. Let's look into that.
I would move that we move to the Zoom platform for the next virtual component of our meeting.
I cannot understand her, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So I heard Athena say she would prefer that we look into using Zoom for the next virtual meeting. If that is not correct, Athena, please let us know.
That is correct.
Okay. Well, yeah, if it has to be virtual, I would be opposed to that. My first option would be to have a meeting where we all could sit down together safely. And if, like I said, if the people that didn't feel safe doing that, if they could still join in via Zoom, that would be a great option to have, kind of a combination meeting. So.
I, for one, won't be in person. In January, we won't be anywhere near being able to be safe. In my opinion, I'm a medical person, so I prefer Zoom. I think it's better too. So I'll be online, whatever system you use.
Okay.
I would like that as a motion.
Join us.
Okay, you repeat that motion for us so we can get that down in the minutes.
I put it in the chat. I move that we move to the Zoom platform for the virtual component of our next meeting and thereafter.
Is that only a virtual meeting then?
For the virtual component, if I will not be in person either because I have health issues.
Okay.
So I will have to do virtual. visit.
Okay, could you read back that motion, Christina?
I'm sorry, which one?
So I have
It's in the chat.
I'm sorry, I can't, that chat pops up for 10 seconds for me and disappears. I can't see the chat continuously, so I apologize for that.
I can read it.
Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, I'm reading the motion from the chat. It says, I move that the Zoom platform be used for the virtual component of the next meeting and thereafter. Athena Grayson.
Proposal, I'd like to make a proposal that we get.
Okay, we have a motion. I'm looking for a second first.
Second.
Second by Kathy. Okay, discussion. Tom?
Yeah.
Can I?
I'd like to make a proposal, we get 3 viable communication options to vote on. Sorry, that was sarcasm, but that's the way government works.
I would actually like to offer a friendly amendment, if it would be accepted. That so long as our IT folks can integrate it into the council chambers like we have here, because I think that's a pretty important component of that, so we can have our guidance from our city staff and everything.
Okay. I guess that was offered as an amendment. Athena, would you accept that amendment?
Julian, I guess I don't understand the amendment, because anybody can be invited to the Zoom meeting, and I assume that all relevant necessary staff would be on that Zoom meeting.
Well, what I'm talking about is, so like with the cameras that we have in the council chambers, with I don't know if there would be some necessary integration with the software, but just so long as we can have that interface where it shows up who's talking. So with the acting manager Molly and clerk Rust and Chair Steen, just so long as using Zoom does not make that impossible, it was my suggestion. And with recording and everything too.
Well, all Zoom meetings can be recorded. Dana, is it an issue?
Okay, I guess that would be a question for our IT department, if Zoom is compatible with our records, our record keeping, I guess, so. Dan, I don't know if you'd have an answer for that. or if
Correct.
we have to
Yeah,
go back.
I would, that's something I'd want to ask our IT department about.
Okay. So
Would the IT host today have some input on that? Chris Ratty? Maybe?
Well, yeah, hang on. Why don't I just ask here?
Okay, oh, just hold on a second. Dan's gonna run back and ask.
We should be able to make Zoom work. I don't think it's gonna have it work any better than WebEx is. The root issue we're having today is a lot of people are unmuting their mics and there's a lot of background noise. And I've been trying to mute people to cut down the background noise, but you keep unmuting your mics, the problem returns. I think if we're better about keeping our mics muted when we're not speaking, I think the audio issues would go away, regardless of the software we use. But if there's a desire to use Zoom, we can make that work.
Okay. So it sounds like he can make Zoom work if necessary.
So Julian, do you still want to amend the motion?
No, I'll take my motion back. Thanks to Chris for clearing that up for us.
Thank you.
I agree.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to have the next meeting via Zoom, I guess. Is that the correct motion? If without any other, if there is any other discussion, please say so now. Otherwise, we will go to a roll call vote.
Oh, I do have one question to clarify before we get into voting.
Go ahead.
I know that with certain with meetings of a certain length, that the free access to Zoom is prohibited or restricted. So I don't know if we need to include a motion or if that's just included in our budget, that we would need the full access, because I'm assuming that we'll go over I think it's 40 minutes, the meeting time cap for the free access on Zoom, just to make sure we're not hindered by that.
Okay, and that's a good point, Julian. I know that is true. The free membership of Zoom is
Asking all of this
limited.
is someone who really,
So,
really slick. I just want to be mindful of it all.
so I think that next meeting will probably last a little longer. So, any other discussion? Hearing that, let's start the roll call vote.
Kathy Chile,
Yes.
Julian Dahlquist,
Yes.
Athena Graysick,
Yes.
Russell Hansen, Thomas Krabenoft,
Yes.
Joel Reeder,
Yes.
Dave Setterquist,
Yes.
Jim Steen,
No.
Eldon Woolman,
Yes.
Mark Boxland,
Yes.
and I'll go back to Russell Hansen.
Maybe ask him to unmute.
Also, you're muted.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So the next meeting will be performed via Zoom, if at all possible, so we will go that route.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Joel?
this is Joel. So that motion was just the virtual component. We can still do the in-person if it's feasible. Athena's motion was just for the people that can attend through Zoom. So if we can do the in-person, that part is still there. Way I
Yes,
understand.
I would assume so, yep.
Yep.
So, and yeah, I guess just a quick explanation why I voted no is I think that next meeting is going to go over 40 minutes. So, anyway. With that, we've concluded our business for today. Looks like we got quite a number of things on our next meeting, hopefully. So looking forward to see you then. Please have a safe and happy holiday season. And this meeting is adjourned.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.